Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. Welcome to the Babolat Pure Drive 2025. This is the 11th generation of this iconic racket, launched around 1994. Became famous thanks to Carlos Moya and Kim Kleister later on, Andy Roddick. Now we have players like Mpetshi Pericard, Fabio Fognini still on the tour, Jordan Thompson and Jerry Shang for the 98. But they have quite a few different options, like a super light racket and all the way up to the 98, which is definitely for more advanced players with its more controlled profile. This one is powerful, it's user-friendly, and I think what made this racket stand out across time is that it's can be used by the pros down to the recreational level. What we've seen over the years is that it's a pretty firm racket, it's a stiff one, and that can hurt your elbow if you string it incorrectly. And I think too many string the rackets too high. I talk about it all the time, that I see these stiff polyester strings with 56 pounds or 27 kilos of tension. And you really need to think about modern rackets needing a little bit lower tension, because otherwise they can be tough on your arm, and even a control racket with a stiff poly can be tough on your arm. So, but they've improved this here. They've really focused on the comfort and the feel of the frame, and I think this is 2 thumbs up for me. It's some of the things I've talked about the most maybe over the years, is that the Pure Drive is a great frame. It's so user-friendly, so easy to use, addictive amounts of power, good serving pop, but it is a bit firm. And this case, they've really worked on that, and I think they nail it in this one. There are obviously some pros and cons, which we will go through, but overall, it's definitely a much more comfortable experience. So what's new in this edition of the Pure Drive? Well, they've done the same way they did with the Pure Aero. They've introduced the NF2 tech, that's flax fibers, making the racket a lot more comfortable, has a little bit of a softer feel overall, more vibration dampening. It's an easier racket on the arm. It's also noticeable when you look at the specifications here from Tennis Warehouse. 66 stiffness strung. It's the softest Pure Drive, I think, of all time, pretty much. Or you have to go back all the way to that first Pure Drive, 94, 97. That was pretty soft, but had no dampening tech. This one has some dampening tech, and it is pretty soft on the arm. That's what I've been asking for so long, so I'm very happy they did this. But it still retains some good power, and I talked to Maxime and Olivier on the Tennis Nerd podcast, Team Babolat. They have some very good information and their thinking behind the process of this racket.
The starting point was for the 300 grams racket. We didn't change the playability, we didn't change the level of power of the racket. But for lighter models, we changed one plastic part to increase the level of power, to help players using lighter models. So we changed this plastic part to increase the length of the main string. Like that, we increase the trampoline effect and we increase the level of power. So it's a way to help players using lighter models, because this kind of player sometimes need more power. So we have the starting point was the 300 grams. We increase a little bit more the level of power for lighter models. And at the opposite of that, we have the Pure Drive 98. And for this kind of player, using this racket, it's more for puncher, more for aggressive player. So the idea is more to have an optimized level of power. So this is the reason why we change the string pattern. We have a new string pattern for the 98, 16 by 20. And we have a new shape here on the frame to increase the level of stability and to have more precision. So the first point is we have an adapted power, an adapted level of power to everyone. It's more and more important for us to have a great feel at impact, a great communication between the frame and the hand. So we put some natural fibers in the frame to increase the feel at impact. So we have 2 main concepts. The first one is an evolutive power in the range, and the second one is we have a great feel at impact, and it was very important for us. We have the same string pattern between the Pure Drive 300 grams and lighter models. So if some players want to customize the level of power, they can change. For example, they can put this one on the Pure Drive 700 grams, for example, And it's a way to customize the level of power for each consumer target.
It's by far the best pure drive for me personally in a long time, but it's gonna divide some people who want just that stiffness. But if you have any concerns about arm comfort and you want like a softer feel, a little bit more dampened feel, then this one is the one for you. I find that this was the main pet peeve for me over the years, and they fixed that with this one. If you want more control, I really urge you to check out the Pure Drive 98, but the 100 square inch version, 300 gram one. They have lighter options with the same string pattern if you want a little bit more easier maneuverability. The 100 and the 98 are the ones I've tried, and this one really appealed to me. I could easily take this one into a tournament. The reason why, because it's so easy to serve with, like you're getting good pop on the serve, you can really attack the ball, think like Mpeci Pericard, but obviously we're all far away from him, but you have that game of like the 1-2 tennis, aggressive baseliner, being able to play with good versatility. You can probably play a more of a defensive style, but I feel like you're getting that extra help on the serve, and it feels natural on pretty much all shots. You're gonna get some explosive power. At times I struggle to control a little bit of that explosiveness. It is a little bit more spinny than, for example, an E-zone, and for some that would be great. You have a little bit of help with the launch angle. It's not an arrow by any means, but it has a little bit more lift than the E-zone, which is kind of super missile flat trajectory, and that's good and bad. All these things are good and bad. You need to find out if this is for you. Such a personal thing, but I think this one has a very, very wide appeal. I think a lot of players will enjoy this one, and even if they haven't tried a Pure Drive before, I think this could be a winner for them. It's so easy to play with. You're getting all that power, and it makes you wonder why you play with a Prestige or a Pro Staff all these years, because they are more difficult to use. Even like a Pure Strike, this one easy, large sweet spot, lots of power, and just an easy tennis experience. Yes, if you're tight, if you're maybe a classically schooled player, and you want to control the ball in a maximum way, yes, you will have an explosive feel. There is a little bit more of explosiveness and the trampolining in the string bed, so that's good to keep in mind. It's better for comfort, but it's not that much better for control. But then you have the 98, which will give you more pinpoint precision in its way. So I tried the Pure Drive with a bunch of people, Beckett, Tencom. All right, so Beckett, so first impressions, just like playing these sticks. If we start with the 100, which is the most standard version, the one that's iconic.
The 100, I prefer to the 98. Back-to-backing it with the last model I did, because I stole Luca's 30th anniversary version. I think I prefer the old version. I didn't really feel a huge difference though. I think it was just probably the spec that he had. His was a little higher swing weight stock. Mine was 310 stock, which is too light for me. So I tried adding some weight, could never really find the top spin on my forehand. At this point, that's probably going to be every review that I ever do from now until the end of time, because I'm using this Pure Aero Rafa. So
it affects a little bit, like the spec that you use will affect you a little bit, of course.
Yeah.
You know,
but I do think it's a pretty solid racket. It's a Pure Drive, and it feels like a Pure Drive, so it's got a really strong identity, as it always has, and it's a good racket. Like we were saying, there's not really bad rackets anymore.
This is a 2009 version. Just want to use it as an illustration of what's been happening. All the DNA of this kind of racket is still here in the new ones. What they've done, which happens to most rackets these days, is that they try to filter out some of the vibrations, the nasty ones. This used to be a beautiful racket. I hit with it today, but it is a little bit of an elbow killer, and that's kind of the Pure Drive identity has kind of been related to elbow issues, especially if you string like RPM Blast at 56 pounds or something. But this one has NF2 tech, which is the same as in the Arrows. Arrows I thought was stellar, like the Arrow. I mean, you're playing Aero Rafa. I love the Aero.
No tech.
No tech.
That's no tech kind of guy.
And that's a good stick. Like you feel the ball. I like the Aero 98 tech involved, like with the flax fibers. And this one also has flax fibers, and it actually gives a better comfort, better feel, I would say. It's a little bit more muted. So if you like raw feel, you maybe like the Rafa if you want a bit of a launch. This one is much better for comfort. So if you like Pure Drives, but you always felt like I'm worried about my arm, and this one can work for you probably. So I think it's a clear improvement. Good on serve, good on baseline shots, like power through the court.
This is a 315, right? This Roddick.
Yeah, and extended as well, so it's the plus.
But I think this stock feels more stable, even though it's 15 grams lighter. It's just the tech does do stuff.
Yep.
You don't get this kind of harshness around the perimeter like that one. You hit it off center, it's you can feel it sting.
Yeah.
Like, would you say it's edge to edge, sweet spot almost?
Yeah,
on
this
thing?
one is like, you can hit quite off center and you're still gonna get a decent shot. And that's what most of us need. We need help, right? Like most people, you've talked about that in your recent videos, that power, spin, getting something for free helps your tennis. And I'm the same. It's taken me many years of abusing myself with prestiges and pro staffs to get to the point where I need power. I'm not the player I hope I would.
Would you say you're playing the best tennis of your life?
I would say so, yeah.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
And I want a more powerful racket now that I'm playing better.
Exactly. The better you play, the more you can handle the power. I feel like for most people who don't want to have a powerful racket, it's about like being able to use enough spin to control the ball, the power and the launch that a powerful racket might have. So you go to a prestige where even like you can swing for the fences and even hit a little bit here, but if you're swinging for the fences, the ball might still go in. But if you play a good guy, the ball is not heavy enough and it becomes a sitter for them. So that's the thing, like the power actually helps you against good players. So the better player you play, the more help you need from the racket. It's funny, man.
Even this guy, I put my Rafa down, try it like a Gravity Pro. It's like game over. Suddenly, like back foot every time, getting burned on inside in winners like crazy.
We did notice when we're hitting, like, and that's the good thing when you're hitting with friends, is that ask your hitting partner, like, how do you feel my ball come to you? Like, is that a heavier ball, or like when you play with that racket, I feel like it's easier for me to hit. That's good information if you want to play some competitions or just want to have a good ball. I think that's good information, you know. And we noticed, like, he went to the Rafa, which he hits a very heavy spin ball, much tougher to play against. He plays with a low-powered racket. It's a bit easier. Same the opposite around. If I play with a low-powered racket, I have less on the ball. So with the drive, customized or uncustomized, you're going to have a lot on the ball, that's for sure. The 100.
Yeah.
Henrik, overall, what were your impressions of like the 300 gram new Pure Drive 2025?
It's very easy to use as well. It's very powerful though. I would almost say that I feel like this is almost a bit more powerful than the previous version. You will get easy power, easy spin, not that much control compared to Pure Aero that I think is more controlled actually, but very powerful, very easy to use, and you can dominate the game with it. So if you can control the power or play with a little bit higher tension, then it's a wonderful cannon.
Everyone seems to like it. It's obviously not like a racket that our advanced players will easily go to unless they're already using the Pure Drive. In a sport that is evolving, that's becoming faster, that's becoming more power oriented, I think this racket really has a super wide appeal and will appeal even to some classical players. I mean, I was always a control guy, but now I need more help from the frame. And the better player I play, the more help I need. So you know how it is. Like, weirdly enough, when you're improving in tennis, you might need more help from the racket because the players you're playing are tougher, hitting harder and moving you more. And you need some assistance on the defense and so on. I really think that they did a good job with all the updates of the Pure Drive 100. Who is it for? Well, for anyone looking for more power, really. So the 100 definitely does all these things well. Pretty versatile racket. Thumbs up for me for the Babolat Pure Drive. Great on serve, great on ground strokes, easy at the net. I would say it's a very good choice for doubles players. As I've said, like, I like these stiffer 100 square inch rackets for doubles because you have easy net play and you need to react quickly. I need a stiffer frame, and then this one does well. In terms of strings, obviously it depends a lot on your situation. As you know, the strings are like half of the racket. I would say you can go for a hybrid if you want more comfort, like either, you know, Babolat XL, any other multi-filament, natural gut, RPM blast, full bed, but yes, that is excellent in the first few hours, but drops tension pretty quick. RPM team is a little bit softer. I think it's a better choice for many of you out there. Tennis Nerd approved, the new Pure Drive, the most user-friendly that I've played, and I would say one of the best Pure Drives they released. Drive 98.
Boom.
Boom. It's not a boom, it's a Drive 98, I told you. But
super solid, I thought, feeling, but you feel the stiffness.
Yeah.
I felt the stiffness on this way more, and this is strung with Tourline Tar, like a
soft string. Yeah.
I can still feel the boardiness.
I would say, like, I really like it, but I liked it more with some weight on it. I feel like it's much more of a difficult racket than the...
Hold it?
Yeah, I can hold it. I feel like the 98 requires more from the user, which is the whole intention. But it's like, you'd think that, okay, it still looks kind of like a forgiving racket compared to pro staffs or prestiges or even blades. But off center, it's definitely less forgiving than the 100. The 100 gives you easy volleys and stuff. This one, you need to be precise. You need to be a good player. If you are a good player, you will, you know, really appreciate the extra cross string, the 1620 over the last version. I think it's better. but some weight might help the strong player. If you're not a strong player, if you're like a 3.5, 4.0, you just want help from the racket, I would go 100. I think this one is going to be a bit too demanding for most of you. So I think this is more for like strong juniors, guys on tour even, you know, like who can customize it and make it like a real weapon. I even tried it at 355 swing weight, and I think that was almost the best. Like when I added some weight to the hoop and it's really solid, and to the handle, I felt like it's easy to play with.
Is that what you brought with you, 355 swing?
No, because when I played with Karu or I let him try the racket, the tape fell off. Like sometimes with the super matte like paint, I feel like this tape doesn't want to.
How do you think that one sits compared to the other Babolat 98s?
I don't feel like this is much more forgiving than the Strike, to be fair.
I think it's less forgiving than the Strike.
Could maybe be.
Off center's tough on this one. The Strike, because of that swing weight, it's a brick. Like.
Yeah, when you hit this in the center, the ball goes big time.
Yeah.
But you're going to be a bit punished if you're a bit sloppy, and you have to. I think that this one is much more string sensitive than the 100. The 100 felt like you could put pretty much any string and it will deliver good power and good feel. This one I tried a bunch of different strings. I tried 4G at like 44 pounds. I tried like a hybrid Tourline setup at much higher tension. And it's a bit more string sensitive. And I think like the 4G was too firm for the racket even at low tension. But the Tourline hybrid was pretty good. So you have to dial this one in. Like it's a definitely more demanding frame.
Yeah, it's like a it feels almost platformy, but I don't know. Mine's stock swing weight was 330 still, so like it's not like
mine close to that.
You have a ton of room.
I really like it though, but I hit a bit flatter. You're hitting with more spin, so for you the arrows are the like optimal racket, I think. But for me, hitting through the ball, I like both.
This of the Babolat 98s, this is the one I want to like the most. Like when I get the contact feel, it's the one I think I appreciate the most, but it's the one I play the worst with.
I think that makes some sense. It is a racket that's somewhat demanding. I would say a lot of players would play a lot better with the Aero 98. It's a little bit softer on the arm. You get that extra launch, so this one's gonna go pretty flat. Like the trajectory with the 1620 is pretty low, so it's not like missile low, but it's pretty low.
It's a surprising difference between the 98 and the 100, the ball flight.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit lower.
I think they made this like for really advanced players. That's the feeling. Like
I like what they've done. I like the risk that they're taking with the big overall change, because I think they were hurting with the previous and the VS. So
overall, like summary from my end, like good update. I like both rackets. You?
I'm taking the 100.
The Pure Drive 98, new string pattern, and also I think they have changed the profile up here. It's more like a little bit more square. It's pretty stiff as well for a 98. It's a stiff racket. I felt a bit in my arm when I was hitting with it. It's a demanding racket compared to my regular racket, the Pure Aero 98. It has a much lower launch angle. It feels like the strings are more tight in the center. You get more control in this version compared to the Pure Aero 98. It's a good racket, but you have to be a good player as well to play with this racket. And you have to have pretty strong arms, because it is a demanding racket. You are the one that gives the ball the power, and it's a tournament racket for advanced players, I would say. Interesting racket, not for me though.
So Robert, now with the Pure Drive, you made the switch already. No, I'm just joking. It's a lot of power in that one, but and a bit more than your Aero.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Babolat guy, and I will be in the future. But for me, I think I will switch to the Drive 98.
Suits your game a bit better, or?
Yeah, and I'm not sure yet. I like the old one, the generation before. This one, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, you need more time and to dial in the string, of course.
Yeah, but they are quite the same, so I think I will like it.
Tennis Nerds, I'm here with Matthew. He plays with the Aero VS, heavy spin player, and he today tried the Drive 98 with me with a bit more flatter trajectory. The new one has a re-engineered beam. It has 1620 pattern compared to the old 1619, so it could potentially be an interesting potential switch for him. But what do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, I think overall it's a solid racket. It's different to the VS. It's not as quick through the air. The sweet spot is definitely smaller on this racket, so not as forgiving as the VS. When you catch it flush and you get your body weight through the ball, probably has a bit more on the VS, a bit more power for sure, maybe not as spinny, but you can still generate quite a bit of spin with it. It suits my stroke pattern and shot trajectory well, because I get quite a bit of loop on the balls, you know, and given that it's a bit heavier, there is substance on my ball even when it arrives to the other end of the court. Sometimes I feel like with the VS, you know, I've played with it a bit to get a bit more weight in the head. Without that, my balls were dying out. With this one, you're not gonna have that issue. You're gonna get a lot behind your ball. And overall, to be fair, for a pure drive, it's quite arm friendly. Usually, you know, historically, pure drives are associated with arm pain, you know, a bit stiff. This one feels nice for a pure drive. I'd recommend it. Again, though, it's more of an advanced pairs frame. If you're playing a long, you know, if you're a competitive player and you're going to play long matches, you need to be strong to play this racket, because, you know, as you get tired or fatigued during the match, you need to give power into the racket to get a lot behind the ball. If you don't catch it in the sweet spot, your balls might land a bit short and die out. So, but yeah, overall a very good racket, I think.
If you want to purchase the Babolat Pure Drive 2025, please check out our friends at Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Only, and Tennis Warehouse Europe, where you get 10% off with TNerd10. Any purchase sends a small commission that helps Tennis Nerd keep going. If you want more content, maybe a slightly different content from Tennis Nerd, you should become a member on YouTube. There's a link below, or via Patreon. And if you want help with rackets, check out our consultation service on tennisnerd.net. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. That's it. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.